Welcome to Between the Mics podcast, where we will talk about anything and everything. Who knows? We might talk about sports games that we're watching, what's going on in our lives outside of podcasting and streaming, motivational things that we want to share, the live streaming that we're doing, the games that we're playing, and who knows, probably some tech. But all I know is that there will be lots of laughs and great stories told. Between the Mics, you have myself, known as TheAwesomeDado online, or you can just call me Mike, and my co-host, known as FlintyTDog online, or you can call him AJ. We appreciate and are excited to have you here and joining us and listening to us as we take you through our chaotic mayhem of thoughts between the mics. Gang, what is up? Welcome on into episode number 6 of Between the Mics podcast. It is what we like to call a family episode. We have all the boys with us here tonight. Got myself and Flinty. Flinty, what's up?
Hey, hello, everybody.
What up, what up? We got ourselves, and then we got our buddy Brian. Brian, what's up, dude?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good. And the man of the hour this episode, the person that you guys all know and love, who keeps us sounding amazing, our extraordinary producer, Gabinelli's with us. What's up, dude?
What's going on?
How's it going? Oh, it is one of my favorite episodes so far, simply because we get to ask Gabs all the questions.
What those fingers do.
What damn fingers do? I can show you.
But gang, if you haven't caught episodes 1 through 5, please make sure you go back and check it out. We've had Brian on as a guest. We've had our buddy Alien Zombie on. Episode number 5, we just had Phantom. All good and awesome episodes. Please make sure you go back and check those out. But tonight, like we mentioned, we're going to sit here and we're going to learn a little bit about Gabs. So we're going to jump right into it, Gabs. We're not even going to give you the warm startup like we give all the other guests. Straight into the grilling. Interrogation, lights on your face. Tell us about Gabs. A little bit about Gabs. Where's Gabs from? Background, and go.
Well, a little bit of where I'm from, as I've mentioned, I'm sure in past episodes, I can't remember. But I'm from Southern Arizona, right? That's pretty much where I've grew up my whole life. Granted, I did move around quite a bit, but pretty much stayed in Southern Arizona, you know, Tucson, Phoenix, all that happy dappy stuff.
Where it's hot as shit.
Yeah, it's regardless of where you go in Arizona, it's going to be hot as balls, right?
Frying an egg on a rock.
Pretty much. We fry eggs outside. It's just that hot.
Arizona's the only state that I visited that I've seen people with AstroTurf in their yards, vacuuming their yards instead of lawn mowing them. So it's very interesting over there. I'll tell you what.
Well, I mean, we got to keep AstroTurf.
Everything else dies.
Yeah. The thing with
Except big cactuses in your yard called a day.
Yeah, pretty much. Those are the snazzy people. If you have a cactus in your front yard, especially if you got one of them saguaros.
You just made me choke on my drink. Those are the snazzy people with cactuses in their front yard.
Yeah, dude.
Down there, they have cacti. We have pineapples, Brian.
Oh, is that the code? You have a giant cactus in your front yard?
Yeah, one huge. You know, we're not gonna get into that. Never mind.
The bigger the cactus, never mind.
Yeah, the bigger the party, cactus, the more the fun you gonna have. Oh, that's terrible. But yeah, that's where I'm from.
Got it. The land of cactus. Okay. Oh, so I know that in some of the streams, and we've all kind of been streaming, at least myself and Gabs lately, have been streaming Microsoft Flight Sim. And I asked in the stream when we were flying into, what was it, O'Hare, I think? if anybody's traveled to Chicago, and Gabs quickly put in the chat that I haven't traveled that far outside of my state. You haven't left Arizona too much, Gabs? Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much. I've traveled some, but the furthest east I've gone is New Mexico.
Okay.
Which, come to think of it, is not that much different from Arizona.
It's not. No, it's not.
But no,
At least in the southern portion.
Oh, good.
Oh, sorry, I was gonna say at least in the southern portions, they both kind of look like Mars. It's not even really Earth.
Yeah, just from some of the Snapchats you sent me on your road trip, he ain't lying.
Just red dirt and rocks.
A whole lot of nothing.
But it's a different type of landscape, which is beautiful in its own way. That if you've never experienced the West, like Arizona or New Mexico, it's definitely something you should do, because it is different. It's beautiful in its own way.
Yeah, I mean, it's got its quirks. I mean, here you can go, one of my hobbies is going out off-roading, every now and then.
Ooh.
Granted, I mean, it is hard on vehicles, so
sure.
Don't do it too much. But when I do, that's what's cool about Arizona, is that there's so much open space that you could just explore.
Sure.
Right? And there's some mountain regions out here where you could just go. It's kind of, yes, it's still off-road, but it's still a pathway that people take to get to and from like different little towns.
Sure. Are these like the forestry roads that you're talking about? You kind of tickled an itch of mine. I'm super into what is called overlanding. I think you and I've kind of talked about this a little bit, Gab. So I'm curious what off-roading in that adventure entails in Arizona.
So it kind of is kind of like forestry. Like, you are going to go through some mountain regions, right?
Sure.
But I mean, you could go like completely off-road in the sense that you're kind of just testing the vehicle at that point, right? More so than having a destination of like, oh, I want to get to this place, but I want to take this route, right? No, it's like,
right.
I want to go do a hill climb, so I'm going to go off this route. We're going to go see what we find over there. Right. So that's pretty much the off-roading that I'm talking about. There's like two different kinds, I guess, that you can do.
Sure. Yeah, you have, and I guess for the listener is that inside the United States, there is a vast road system that is maintained by the National Forestry that allows you to, what Gabs has explained, either off-road or what I guess society calls overlanding, to be able to go and travel to places that most people don't or can't because you don't have the right vehicle. Some of them are 4-wheel drive or 4-wheel roads, and some of them are only 2-wheel. Some you have to hike. It's pretty impressive once you start looking into what is actually between your cities in the rural areas that what we call like the flyover states or things like that. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think a little bit ago, Brian went on a little escapade of hiking.
Yes, that was up in the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. There's a bunch of those trails up there.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I'm too fat to hike.
Yeah, I'm not doing none of that. I mean, I'm too fat.
Just go slow.
Too hot.
Just go slow.
That's it. You just go slow.
Here you don't have the leisure of going slow.
Not in Arizona. You get there.
It's gonna get hot.
Right.
It's gonna get hot. It's gonna get hot fast.
Well, that's
how cold does it actually get at night there, though?
At night, I guess it just kind of depends. Obviously, during the summer, it'll still be in the 80s, 90s, right? Yeah, it can still be pretty bad.
Yeah, so it's not too bad. Like down here, I mean, it stays pretty muggy.
During the winter, though, it does. That's when you notice like drastic changes from the day and night.
And when you say drastic, you mean 90 to like 70? Is that what you mean by drastic?
Hey, we've gone down to the 30s. I know that ain't bad for most places, but
so hell does really freeze over.
I say in northern Arizona, up on the Mesa, like in the Native American
areas and all that.
Yeah, I've personally seen like 19 degrees and blizzarding up there.
Oh, yeah.
It can get pretty wild up north. But what I mean by like drastic changes is like it'll be high 70s, low 80s during the day, and by nighttime it's already in like the 40s.
Holy
So
shit.
it's like
that
a
is
40
drastic.
degree difference. There's a lot of places where like, oh, it's 45 right now, and then during the day you're like, oh, it's 55, 60.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's
not a
not that
40.
crazy of a change.
Yeah, that is pretty drastic now that you're explaining it that way. I mean, it's a whopping 28 degrees right now here in the lovely state of Ohio, and it reached 31 today. So we had a 3 to 4 degree swing between the high and the low. I couldn't imagine a 40 or 30 degree swing. That's insane.
Let's look up the weather here today as to what it was.
As we take you into the old people segment, please hold as we pull up the weather channel.
Yeah, right. So the high was 74 today,
Mhm.
right? And it's supposed to get down to 49.
Oof.
So
Yes. It's not
it's
too
kind of
different from where
dressed-
me and Brian are from.
Yeah, it's what it's doing here too. It's pretty similar weather, just maybe a little bit wetter.
Yeah, it was supposed to rain, but in good old Arizona fashion, heck you.
No rain for you.
No rain for you, fucker.
Yeah, I guess that's the one nice thing about Ohio. When it's cold, it's cold. When it's hot, it's hot. There's very little of drastic swing, and when it does it, it's bipolar as shit. And it's 70 degrees one day, and it drops maybe to 50 or 60 at night, and then the next day it's snowing. So
And then later that day, it's pissing down rain.
yep, you can get all 4 seasons in one day here. It's lovely.
Speaking of
here
weather,
it's pretty constant.
I'd say speaking of weather, have you guys seen what's happening in southern Florida with all the spring breakers? They're getting flooded out. They're being evacuated in certain areas.
Yeah, I did see that. That's insane. Is that where that big music festival is going on right now too?
Yeah, with all the videos of people like rolling in the mud and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah. I would say I'm entertained from where I'm sitting. But
yeah, I watched it from afar.
Yeah, right. My safety of my living room where it's dry. That I've visited New Mexico and Arizona in my past, and I will say that one thing on my bucket list is when I was 16 is when I went to Arizona. I drove from Ohio to Las Vegas, and I went to the Grand Canyon, but when I got there, it was raining, one of those few times that it rains, and I couldn't see more than 20 feet off the canyon ridge. Nope, definitely not. So one of my bucket list things now, and as I get older, is to do the rim to rim challenge. So you hike from the southern to the north rim. That is my goal. Bucket list of mine.
That would be pretty dope.
It's like 26 miles, something like that.
Do you have an idea of when you would want to complete something like that? Or that challenge? Obviously, before you die.
Well, yeah. Before I'm 6 feet under. My goal would be to do it before I'm 40, so in the next 10 years. It's going to take some training to be able to do that, right?
You got to get rid of the awesome dad bod.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
No.
You say that as I take a nice sip of a nice cold, refreshing beverage.
Beer.
Mm-hmm.
So, Gabs, we all know that you dabble in some music. What is that like your biggest hobby?
Yes. So, with me, you might hear my dog barking in the background. No biggie.
Hello, puppers. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, he's one with the podcast now. But anyways, fun fact about me is I'm a musician of 20 years.
What?
Yeah.
Instrument of choice?
Instrument of choice, the one that I've been dabbling with the most is the bass. I've been playing that for 13, 14 years, give or take.
Okay.
So I'm a bassist, but I do, I started off when I was 8. Well, I redact that. Let's go back some more. So before I even knew of anything about music, you guys know the little Nokia phones, those little square bricks.
Yes. Yes.
So on those, if y'all remember, they had apps before we even knew they were even called apps. And on those, there you could compose music. There was an app about composing music.
Oh, yes. I remember this.
And I started kind of messing with that, and I'd create little, BS, little melodies. And my dad's like, you know what? He might actually have something, going on for him with this.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad's he plays keyboards, right? He's also a musician.
Oh, okay.
And he was pretty much when I turned 8, he started teaching me how to play the keyboard. And, I learned that for, I want to say 3-ish years. Well, pretty much up until I was 13. That's when I picked up the bass and kind of dabbled in the guitar during that
Okay.
time while I was learning it. But then I pretty much just stuck to the bass from then because I started playing at church.
Mm.
Yeah, and so that's pretty much where that skyrocketed from. And now I'm in a band where I play the bass for said band, So
Well,
that's
that's
like one of the
awesome.
things, one of the hobbies that Gabs has.
Can I ask
Or,
a really dumb question? And everybody in the audience is probably going, of course, Dado's going to ask a dumb question.
Why
Um,
not?
What is there a huge difference between an electronic keyboard and a grand piano?
Well, besides that, one is electric and one isn't.
He
I
told
knew
you
that
dumb
was coming.
question.
So the grand piano is essentially, think of it like this in a way. You know how they have an acoustic guitar and an electric guitar?
Yes.
That's pretty much the same thing. So a keyboard or synthesizer, as one might know it, you have a lot of sounds, grand piano included. Some of them have very, very good grand pianos, programmed into it.
Sure.
But you could also, like my dad, he has some that have, saxophones, trumpets, trombones, tubas, anything you could think of. It's there,
Hmm.
and you could buy samples to make it sound more realistic of that instrument rather than hiring someone that or multiple people that can play those instruments.
Sure.
So instead of hiring a whole band to do a string section, let's say, you could
Mhm.
just do it with your keyboard and just layer it, or do the whole chords just with one hand.
So you
So-
could actually upload different sounds on like a USB drive.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
Now, granted, they're not all interchangeable. Like you can't buy a keyboard and just be like, "Oh, I'm going to buy these." Like, no, you have to make sure they're kind of compatible.
I
That makes
probably don't
sense.
even want to know the price tag on one of those things.
They have gone up quite a bit.
Everything has.
Yeah. Well, my dad has a keyboard synthesizer again that he paid $2,000 for one of them at least, and 15 for the other.
Okay.
1,500,
Damn.
not 15 grand, 1,500.
Yeah,
But
it's still a lot of money though
still
for
quite
a
a bit of
keyboard.
Yeah, yeah. And the bass that I have, very pretty. Granted, I spent 1,100 on it,
Mm-hmm.
and I've had other basses. I'm just like, I don't need this many.
Now, is
Let's go
there
ahead and sell it.
is there like a Les Paul of basses? Like, because like how like there's just this one brand name of guitar. Is there like a bass for that? Like the bass equivalent, I would say.
Well, yes and no. Everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, I want, Warwick." Those are, the $2,000-$3,000 range. But every brand you look at will have a bass that's like that expensive. Like the Les Pauls, like you say. Me personally, I dabble in Ibanez. That's just the brand that I've liked. It has a lot of control, especially some of the newer ones that are out.
Sure. And I'm sure that probably gives you more ability to do different things with it when you say controls, right?
Yeah, because you could have, if you wanted to sound more jazzy, you can. If you wanted to sound bright, you can. Like for some heavy metal stuff, it kind of has that. You wanted to punch through the mix.
Sure.
No, that's the type of music I like right there.
You're speaking his language.
Yeah, exactly. So you know what I mean with a bright sounding bass.
Oh yeah, I mean, some of the better bands on my end of the spectrum of music. I mean, it's insane on what they could do, especially with the breakdowns.
Yeah,
Chef's
no,
Kiss.
100%. There's some of them that will pretty much kick you in the teeth type of breakdown. And I love it. I'm all for it.
I mean, I do have to ask, have you guys listened to Sleep Token yet?
I have.
When you sent it to me, I did listen to it. Yes.
What's your thoughts?
Me gusta. It is very melodic.
I have questions about it.
I knew you would.
I have comments about it. I will tell you the song that you suggested in episode number 4 to listen to for baby making. There will be no baby making to that song. I'll tell you that right now.
You just don't have the tempo?
Doesn't have the stamina for it.
And endurance is not there.
BPM is a little too high for that.
I'm more like a ringtone guy. It comes and goes in 45 seconds. Yeah. I listened to that song and I was like
the breakdowns.
right. I listened to that song and I'm like, yep, that's not gonna do it for me. But then I got stuck on that one song, Alkaline, that you shared. It's on repeat, man. I can't get enough of it. And there's so many different music platforms out there, and Dado's house is a whole Google enabled home. So everything we do is Google. Our phones, the house, the Wi-Fi, everything. So we have YouTube Music. And just like any other one, you could put in like a band or whatever, and it gives you something that's close to it. And I've enjoyed that, going through and listening to some Sleep Token songs and then finding other bands that are similar to that. It's opened a whole new horizon of music, which is pretty sweet.
That's what I like about some of the apps that start recommending you songs similar to, or bands rather, similar to what you were listening to or what you have listened to, and you find some pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Like, who are these guys? Like, I've never even heard of them.
Last, what was it? A week and a half ago, you know how people dig stuff out on people?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They started back in, I think, 2015, 2016 era. They remained anonymous. Like, no one had any idea who they were. All they know came out of, I think they were British band somewhere.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And next thing you know, like they just literally up until about almost 2 weeks ago, people dug enough to find Vessel is the singer's name, well, stage name. Found out his identity and everything. Yeah. Found out his actual name and everything like that, and found out actual information about him. But for years, they were anonymous.
Isn't it weird that people do that though?
It's amazing.
Like, why? Like, I get that you have curiosity, but why? I mean, their whole persona is to be this. Yeah, it's to be the person behind the mask, literally, for Sleep Token. And it's like, why ruin that for people? Like, if that's what they are, that's what they are.
Well, it's what happens when people end up like on TikTok and everything like that, and more to the eye. Because I mean, I was listening to them back whenever their first freaking album came out, and the place will become your tomb was like I think their second or third album.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, TikTok happened, and then their album, "Take Me Back to Eden" hit.
Which I've been
And
listening
then-
a lot to.
Yes, phenomenal.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
That hit, and then the song of the baby making song that I told you about, the
Mhm.
summoning, dude.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, the book talk, and then all this stuff, people started losing their freaking mind. Like, where have these guys been my entire life? And I'm just sitting there watching it blow up on TikTok. I'm like, people just got to stop.
It's not new, folks. They've been around for a minute. Like, that's the one thing I love about social media, that it can help things grow in a positive way, but it can also destroy things as quickly as it grew it. Which can be good and can be bad in some aspects. Like we were just talking, if they wanted to be anonymous and they didn't want people to know, which unfortunately that's the nature of the beast when you become famous, people like to know why you didn't finish eating your pizza in the 7th grade. It just
pretty much.
it's just baffling sometimes. It's like, just let them live. Let them do their thing. Enjoy their music and shut up.
If they want you to know something, they'll tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, their whole persona about this, I mean, it's kind of weird. Like the backstory about, I'm sorry if you guys could hear that. There was a fire alarm going off right now.
Uh-oh.
Someone needs 911.
Hey, that's you.
I'm off duty.
Coming to you live from Between the Mics podcast, FlintyTDog goes and saves the neighbors.
But like Brian knows my taste in music sometimes. Like we're all over the board a little bit, but Sleep Token has been my band for God knows how long. And I kind of forgot where I was going with that. I do apologize.
No. I do give it to them. They have some killer drums.
Yeah, they do. Yes, they do.
They have those, I'm gonna kind of nerd out, but like their kick drum on there is very clicky, and I fucking love that sound. To me, it's like that's the sound you look for when you're doing drums.
I like the songs that, like, you were talking about being a bassist and feeling that and kicking into teeth. I like when you can feel the drums.
Yeah.
Because here's my nerd moment. I played percussion in high school and middle school. So like being able to like relate to that and feel it, I'm just like, yes, give me more.
And that's like pretty much what we try to do in the band that I'm in. But unfortunately, it's going to give too much about me if I, start dabbling too much on that. But
Sure.
That's like what we strive for in that type of music.
I mean, I think I did hear a small little snippet of your music.
Yes, I did.
And let me tell you, grab the mimosas and head down to the damn beach. Like, that's the chef's kiss right there.
Right. Yeah, I'll take a drink with rum in it, please. Thank you.
And there's some parts in there where you can get kind of weird with it, if you will.
Sure.
And
I mean, with what you're trying to put out, I mean, it's gonna sound weird, but weird is better with the style of music you're putting out, because that's just what hits, man.
You can do some stuff with it, and if you're, for me, for example, I play a 5-string bass. You can get that low B involved and fucking smack you right in the teeth with a deep bass and good drums. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, I'm doing that. I'm doing that. You know, that face that you get whenever you just hear that slap.
Note.
Oh yeah.
You got that stank face. I love it.
I don't mean to interrupt the topic. Brian, are you still with us, or did you pull a Flinty here and pass out on us?
No, sir, I'm still here. I'm just taking roll in.
He's letting us
I'm
ramble. like
learning a
bunch
lot
of
right now.
crazy-
I don't know a whole lot about music, and I'm learning a lot right now.
He's gonna let Dado ask the dumb questions. That's what he's doing.
Is a flute and a bass the same? No, I'm just kidding.
It plugs this into here and it does wow.
All I know about instruments is that Yamaha makes both dirt bikes and pianos.
And basses.
And what?
And basses.
And bases? Oh
basses.
shit!
And yeah.
Drum
That's
kits.
actually what I had as a first bass. I can't remember the model of it, but it was a 4-string Yamaha with a little, I want to say it was a 10-inch PV amp that I was running way back in the day. Even though
You plugged it in, it went.
yeah, pretty much. You moved one certain way, it'd make like god awful sounds.
You
I
say
have a guitar in
4-string
storage somewhere.
in storage.
I
have one from
I-
Walmart
honestly, I think it's on your property in the shed.
I think so.
Yeah, I do believe so.
I think I played it maybe 3 times. I learned a few songs. Yeah, I probably couldn't play anymore. One that I loved to play was "Hurt" by Johnny Cash.
Ooh, that's a good song.
Yeah, the guitar in that one kind of slaps.
Not as much as the bass.
Oh.
Sorry.
Waka waka.
Right. Comedic relief. I've always
the bass. No, but what's up?
I've always been envious of like people playing the guitar. So I have a camper, and I'm sure you guys heard about this in the streams and in the other podcasts. We hang out around campfires, and when the person pulls out their acoustic guitar and starts playing music around a campfire, there's nothing better than somebody just going through a riff on an acoustic guitar at midnight around a campfire. It's my favorite.
I
yeah,
try not
what?
to be that guy because sometimes I'm like, it'd be so douchey of me to fucking do it.
Yes,
Brian
yes.
and I have a mutual friend that he thinks he's absolute shit at the guitar, but that dude, he's got some talent and he doesn't even realize it.
That's
He's
He's
fantastic.
being humble. He's being humble about it.
No,
Well,
I don't know if
yeah.
he's being humble, but he actually thinks he sucks, dude. I sat there and listened to him for like 2 hours straight.
You should
Eh,
handed record him playing guitar. And
Oh,
send it
yeah.
my way.
He sent me some recordings. He's got like a cheaper iPhone. It has a hard time actually recording it, but
Right.
it's every time he sends me something, it's like 30 seconds. It's like pure gold. I'm like, man, did you write this yourself? He swears he does, and I believe it.
Now,
Oh yeah, dude. There's times where he just, him and I used to be roommates and stuff, and there'd be times like we get off work, and next you know, all I hear from his room is just him jamming, and I knock on his door. I'm like, did you just hit that like off the rip? Like, what the fuck was that?
what was that about?
Because that was pure gold, dude.
Like, you just think of that, or is that a song I've never heard of?
You're in the shower and he starts serenading you from across the hall with guitar solos. Yeah.
Now,
I would
Merc,
never have a problem with that.
didn't you? I think you might have said that you were interested in recording music.
Talking
Am
about
I
me?
right about that, or am I? I feel like one of y'all said that, and I just can't.
It
remember.
was him.
I said that. I said that. I'm not very well versed on the instrument side of things, but I like to sing.
Mm. And how's that going? Are you still doing that or no?
Haven't spent a whole lot of time on it. Shamelessly sing a lot in my my truck by myself, but
We all
in
do.
front of a microphone, not too much. But
We all
you know, with
fucking
my
let it rip in the trucks.
I make
Oh,
more
yeah.
money
I
than
know
Taylor
it.
Swift in my truck. Let me tell you what.
Actually, that guy that we're talking about who plays the guitar, me and him were kind of talking about doing some stuff because he can play the guitar and I can. I don't know if I could really say I could sing, but you know, I can hit a note here or there.
I say send it.
Full send.
Full
If you-
send.
Oh yeah.
No
Got
regret.
to get a sound guy to help me out.
I think
might
we know somebody.
I think I might know somebody.
It's just like
Introducing Gabs.
low key, like since I have my office and everything like that, I've always wanted to teach myself how to do like the low gutturals and like the heavy metal stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not doing it now, but
I was going to say, give us a sample,
no,
please.
definitely not.
Oh, here.
It will not become a sound bite, I promise.
It's definitely not anywhere close to being ready. I'm still trying
Whenever
to
I
do
try
like
that,
the. Go ahead.
I say whenever I try to do that, it makes me feel like my throat's gonna bleed.
Because it
Like,
is.
what's his name? Yeah,
That's probably because you shouldn't be doing it like that.
some of the hardest notes to hit is the guy from Linkin Park. What's his name? Chester.
Chester, yep.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, yeah. Rest in peace. And he had some serious talent, and it just the way he sang is really really hard to match. But if I ever try, it's awful. It hurts. Hurts to even try.
Oh yeah. It's a different type of range, and like you don't want to force it. It sounds like some of those guys like from a band called Slaughter to Prevail. I don't know if you ever like seen them like scrolling on YouTube or anything like that. Just big Russian deathcore guy with like the weird masks and everything. He's known for
Not.
excuse me. He's known for like the alligator growl, and like his vocal cords bounce, and it sounds like an alligator clicking, and it is absolutely insane. And but it looks like he's straining so much, but his diaphragm and everything expands, and it is just phenomenal. And then just for the audience to kind of check it out, look up Lorna Shore, Wilm Ramos's throat scope. They like put a scope through his nose and let him do his like gutturals and everything, all for science to see like his vocal folds and his false folds and everything going. It is insane on how like the music is produced from the human body like that.
It's interesting the way how all of that just comes together to produce a sound, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like how much your body has to strain, I guess, for lack of a better word, to get a certain sound.
Yeah.
Why?
And
I
it's
heard.
just go ahead, Mikey. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, I heard that when they like from a vocal coach, they teach you to sing from your eyeballs, because if you think about your breathing, you're gonna overthink it and you're gonna cut yourself short. So what I've heard is that like you sing through your eyes, and it's kind of hard to explain that it forces you to stop thinking about your breathing. So like if you're trying to hit a long note, like Chris Stapleton or some of those guys do that, hit that long note as they come out of the chorus. That's what I've heard from people that I know that teach singers.
I've never actually heard of that, but I feel like it's an interesting concept.
It could just be like somebody's hack. They're like some old lady that used to
right.
teach choir. She's like, "Sit out of your eyes." Probably saying ass, but everybody took it as eyes.
You're right.
Some tones are easier or more natural to people than others. You know, you
100%.
gotta have like your natural range, and you can kind of work on it to go, have a wider range. But anything outside your natural comfortable range takes a lot of strain, and you won't be able to keep it up for very long without a lot of practice.
Yeah, and I mean, there's actually a chance of you hurting yourself doing so. And not ideal.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's just like Corey Taylor from Slipknot. He had I think he's going on like 9 surgeries
Oof.
on his vocal cords just because on how hardcore he has to actually like he believe it or not, it's like the guys I just posted up in chat. The first one, Will Ramos, he could go and sing just like the guy from Sleep Token from like Vessel to basically one of his greatest songs, and it sounds demonic. It's really that's what it sounds like. But he sings so like there's just this range, and on the side he does tube and throat singing, I think it's called.
Huh?
Yeah, is basically like he uses all of like his entire like throat and all of his like tubes in it. Like apparently there's tubes and shit in your throat. I don't know. I took a few things of anatomy and everything like that. I don't know about them. I don't know.
What are
We
these
stumped the
tubes you're talking
EMT.
about?
Yeah, he's like, I need to know about these tubes.
That sounds a little
Right.
weird.
But it's actually insane. And then like the Alex Terrible guy from Slaughter to Prevail, just the depth that he has to freaking come out of with that, it is absolutely insane.
I don't know. I don't know how they do it. I just, and some of that stuff, I know I've mentioned it before that my range of music and what I like is vast. But once you start screaming at me like that, I'm out. Dado's out. You know, I'm good. Like, mm-mm.
I don't listen to
Uh,
too much screamo stuff, but there is some music that, I mean, there's some Hispanic music, which is what I dabble into the most, that will incorporate even jazz. So you could get ideas pretty much from any genre of music and incorporate it to the genre of music that you play. And I don't know, to me it's pretty nifty.
So what would be your favorite genre of music, Gabs? Outside of what you play as a musician, what's your favorite genre?
That's kind of difficult because
Okay.
because I grew up listening to Hispanic music, right?
Sure.
So that's pretty much like Old Faithful to me, but I do listen to some country,
Mm-hmm.
because it's very similar to some, I guess you would kind of consider it the countryside of like Hispanic music in a sense,
Sure.
So I do dabble in country, even rock, from back in the day. There's some stuff that, not too many, but like certain hits, I guess you can say.
When you say rock
Ozzy
from back
Osbourne.
in the day, are you talking like Journey, Led Zeppelin, or like Nickelback?
No, we're not. We're not going into not that. Come on now. But like some System of the Down, and things like that. What would that be?
Are we that
Considered
old
rock?
are we that old, Mikey, that is considered back in the day?
Yes.
Backish in the day.
Yes.
Oh my god, it was bad enough with Phantom yesterday.
Have you gone back and watched any of the music videos for when that shit came out? Yes, that is back in the day.
I don't know what you're talking about. I definitely wasn't just jamming out to Backstreet Boys the other day.
Listen, I'm not too much of a man to admit if a Backstreet Boys song comes on in the truck, we're turning it up. My windows are tinted. You can't see me. I don't give a shit. We're jamming to it. We're going.
That and Shania Twain.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That happens too.
In sync.
In sync, yep. There we
Yeah.
yep. Dude, I just remember I just started working for Brian, and what was it? We were on our way to the island, and dude, we were throwing some bangers, and you just see these two just roughneck looking dudes in this just big old red truck pulling a fucking excavator through like the Richie part. And it was like bye 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 and
Katy Perry.
hey Katy Perry.
That's
And then
awesome.
we went from that, and then we went to Where's the Hood at?
Little
Y'all
DMX.
started listening to DMX and all this fucking crazy shit.
Yeah, we were like all over the place.
Oh, dude, it was the greatest time. And I mean, Gabs, I mean, you being a music guy, I mean, I think all of us could speak like it touches. Like, it sounds weird, but it touches us somewhere special, basically.
Yeah, we talked about it the
Yes.
other day in the episode that Flinty and I did, just hanging out, of how music can express emotion that you don't even understand inside yourself, but it makes you feel it. It makes you understand what you're going through. It's insane what music can do for you in that regard.
Very expressive.
For sure.
You know, like there's, like you mentioned in that one podcast, there's a song for everything. If you can think about it, it's probably been made, right? For a certain feeling. You know, if you had a shit day at work, there's probably a song for that.
Take this job and shove it. It's the first one that comes to mind.
there's like, but like I said, there's always a song for any feeling you're having. And you know, there's people that took the time to make it, you know.
Sure. And they're probably feeling that too, you would think, right?
You would think so. I mean, otherwise I feel like it probably wouldn't have come into existence. But
right. It's a fair point. Fair. Okay, number 2, dumb question from Dado. Check. Moving on.
Now I'm gonna ask probably a really hard question. Is
too hard.
Your username or your gamer tag or whatever? How'd you come up with that? Is like your name like close to it, or is it just a nickname that you've gotten?
No, so this has nothing to do with me. Well, in a way it does, but a lot of people look at it and you're like, "Oh, is that your last name or like a nickname or, you know, whatever?" No, nothing like that. So, more than a couple, probably like 6-7 years ago, I started dabbling in accordions. Right?
Okay.
So, if you look up accordions and you look up Gabinelli is an accordion brand of a dream accordion that I would like to buy, or a brand of a accordion that I would like to buy.
Okay.
Which is what pretty much any big musician in, you know, Hispanic culture, if you look them up, chances are they are rocking one of these.
And it all goes back to music, man.
Yeah. It just goes back to music.
So can you play the accordion?
Yes. Do not. I'm
Dude,
rusty as hell right
honestly,
now.
that's fucking dope.
So I will not play it for y'all, but
Damn.
I can play.
Low key, like polka music, like growing up at my grandparents' house, the polka music and the accordion and everything like that. That was actually a hit.
It do slap sometimes.
Oh, I know, but like I will say, like Brian can contest to this. Like we have a lot of Hispanic people around us,
Right.
and every job site you go to, they're just playing music, and some of their music is just straight like amazing. It just makes you just
slaps.
It just goes.
Makes you want to work.
And the statement that I'm going to say is not trying to be ignorant, but you know, if you don't know Spanish or the native language of whatever the music is, you don't hear the lyrics, you hear the instruments, and that's how you get to feel it. Like Mrs. Dado's always giving me shit about, we'll be listening to a song and I'd be like, "This is a great song." She goes, "You know, this song's about doing meth, right?" I'm
That's
like,
a great song.
huh? I'm like, what? No, I didn't know that. I've been listening to this for like 15 years. Didn't know
I guess I gotta go do meth now. God dang it.
Right. It's great instruments. That's just who I am. But it forces you to, because you don't know. And I guess shame on me for not knowing, but you just don't know what they're saying. So all you can relate to is the instruments and feel what they're putting out that way.
Yeah, it's like people. Oh, go ahead, Gabs. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say a lot of the Hispanic music that I'm sure in some job sites that are being played, a lot of them is just storytelling. Granted, I'm sure is a lot of that narco shit, right?
Sure.
But it's still storytelling in some sort of fashion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
not what I hear too much.
Huh?
Not what you hear too much.
No, I think they call it Norteña.
Yep, Norteña is pretty much what any Hispanic dabbles in.
Yeah,
including myself.
I hear a lot of that. You know, But at least on the job sites, not too many young Hispanic guys here. They're mostly older dudes, and they kind of listen to a little bit older music.
Yeah, they're not. Granted, it's still those narco fucking things. Some of them, a lot of those older ones, believe it or not, are about horses.
Really?
The
I do
original,
have
the
to-
original Cowboys.
I do have to ask that. Is that like just going back to this Hispanic descent stuff? Because I worked with a Hispanic guy on the one of the pipe fitting crews I worked on, and he has a house in Mexico. I don't know if he got done building it, but he was building a house back home in Mexico, and he has an entire horse farm. Like his family breeds and sells horses down there.
So pretty much those are like a descent thing, like you just said. In Mexico, at least back in the day, I don't know if they still do it, to this day. But back in the day, there was a lot of horse racing, right?
Oh.
So a lot of the ones that made it big and big money horses, for gambling and all this other shit that they would do, they would make songs about said horses.
I
More
didn't
you
know
know.
that. Yeah, right. I'm pulling a Brian. I'm just listening now and learning.
Learning a lot here.
Right.
Well, it's coming full circle because like Joel, he would send me pictures of like the horses and stuff like that. He's like, yeah, this one's like 4 years old now. Like this one's my baby, and the next one, this one's like my sister's, and next you know, he has like 200 other horses on his farm, and I'm like, dude, I see you drive a Mazda that sounds like it's going to blow up here in the States.
But it has super expensive horses back there.
Yeah, like couple $100,000 worth like horses, and I'm like, what? Excuse me, what? Why are you here? I'd be with you taking care of those damn things. Like, let's go. Fuck the, fuck hanging the pipe. Let's go take care of the horses.
Yeah, it's in Mexico. It's a lot of farming, a lot of, I guess, barn stuff, right?
It's like
That's what
cowboy
they
culture, right?
Cowboy, yeah, it's like
Yeah,
pretty much
cattlemen,
cowboys,
Mexican
cattlemen
cattlemen.
and all that. Yeah,
I think Brazil's
That's
really into that right now too. They got a lot of
that's just
cattle
fucking
culture.
awesome.
crazy. And like I said, most of those songs back in the day was about horses, horse racing.
The more you know. I'm going to start Googling old songs just so I can hear them and then translate because I'm an idiot. So I can read what the story is. Because I mean, they still do that today in well, maybe not as much today, but in the music that we know here, it's all a story. If you listen close enough to the lyrics, it's a story of some fashion. And
Mhm.
I'm going to use a very wild example. And when it comes to like hip hop and rap, if you listen to Eminem through all of his albums, there's a story through all of it.
Right.
From when he started to even now, because he's just busting other people's balls because they think they're better than him, whatever you want to call it. It's just a story. Or even going back to like Linkin Park, there was a story that they were telling.
Fuck you, MGK. You suck.
There's the take. But even Linkin Park was telling a story the whole time in their albums. It's interesting once you actually pay attention to the lyrics, Dado. You hear the story, not just the instruments.
Yeah, it's just like anybody that I turn on to like my type of music, like the death metal. People get scared because like I heard you say that Dado that it's somebody screaming at you, but if you actually know the story behind like
Sure.
Lorna Shore, like they have a 3-part song. It's The Pain Remains 1 through 3, and it's nothing about like it's nothing what it sounds like, but it is a story about finding your true love, and then like cancer took her, and then like this world is not anything if you're not part of it type of deal.
Mm-hmm.
And the story behind it is actually really amazing.
And I appreciate that you got that out of the screaming and the growling that's happening.
It is crazy, like, but I've spent a lot of years listening. I mean, you knew me from high school. I mean, I still listen to the same
Sure.
crazy stuff, just not like the Redneck Soldiers anymore. That stuff, I've grew up from that. But
That's
Have you
Marquez.
though? Have you though?
I have not listened to them. I think Mud Jug was on my playlist. That's about it. But the death metal, I've never stopped listening to it, and the more you listen to it, the more you understand what they're saying.
Yeah, the more you get out of it, essentially.
Yeah. And there's like this one song, it's called by Cannibal Corpse. I mean, it's 7861. Yeah. I mean, this might, I
What
don't
a
know if we
name.
have to, Gabs, you might have to cut the name of the song out, but it's literally I Blood. They have a song called that, but then they have this song called 7861. And
Long
it's
beat for that
nothing.
one.
Yeah. I just had to compare it. But the 7861 is the story on how he lost his friend to suicide and what, like, reach out and get help.
Right.
And
So it's like those bands like that.
for sure. And Linkin Park, if you listen to it, this is my take on Linkin Park, at least specifically that band. If you listen to it, it's the same story. It's telling you the story of sadness, depression, looking for help, the outcast, things like that. It's there if you listen to it. And then, the story of Chester and how sad that is. And if you go back and listen to the albums, again, this is Dado's opinion, and my take is that it was telling you what was happening, even personally to Chester.
Yeah,
It's sad.
I agree to that. I mean, a lot of we all like a lot of us connected with his music, and it's because we all
Sure.
felt the same. Unfortunately, he didn't get the help.
Yep. And
But his music was the scream for help.
it was, and that's that step back that if you can connect with something, and I know that AJ and I talked about it in a past episode that there's been times, except when he puts the screamo music on, I can understand it. He would get into the truck or whatever and go, "Hey man, I don't know how to explain this, but listen to this. It'll get my message across." Now, when he put the screamo stuff on, I didn't know if he was sad or if he wanted to go fight somebody. So that was quite confusing. I'll be honest.
Well, it all started off sad, and then we ended up fighting somebody. Because I was sad.
You were, yeah, okay, fair. Now I'm learning. See, look at me. I'm learning what's
The more
happening.
you know.
Oh man, I think this is going in the books as one of our longer podcasts, and I'm enjoying it. We're picking deep at Gab's music side.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 What instruments can you play?
What instruments can I play? So I can play keyboard, right? Bass, guitar, and the accordion. Some percussion, but not too crazy.
Follow-up question. With your keyboard, what, like, I don't know the term, sound profiles or instrument profiles you play with on your
Samples.
keyboard? Samples.
So samples, dude, I have a huge library of them. But you could play pretty much just about anything on there. Literally, you could go from drums to trumpets to sax. Mainly, what I dabble in is like the trumpets and the sax, just because that is the music that I pretty much play, right?
Sure.
And also, I don't have said instrument to play, so I can't just be like, oh, I want to record a trumpet in the song. Why not? Well, I don't have a trumpet. Right? So I was like, you pretty much use the instrument for that. Can you play the accordion on there too? Sure, why not? But why play the accordion on there when I could play an actual accordion? You know what I mean?
From the things, sorry, Gabs, the things that I see online, that gives people that don't have the ability to play all of those instruments the ability to play them and make the music with the trumpet, the trombone, whatever, your samples are, because maybe they don't have the talent to play that said instrument, but with the samples and synthesizers, I'm using words that I'm learning tonight, they have the ability to do it, which is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, you can pretty much record literally any type of music that you want to record. And in the software, that I use to edit the podcasts and mix them and all this other stuff, there you have what they call, what is the word I'm looking for? I forget. But there's ways you can record it. They call it MIDI, which is literally like note for note.
Sure.
And it'll like bring up kind of like a graph or like a little keyboard thing off on the side, and you're like, oh, I want to, this note, and you just put it together. But with those, you can replace it to play any instrument you want. Granted, if you paid for it, right?
Sure.
And with those, like I said, you could just make anything. Fun fact, I don't have a drum set, but in that song that I sent you guys that you guys may or may not have listened to, the drums on that song were recorded via MIDI.
Really?
You can see all the little hits on there that, quote unquote, the drums are playing, right?
It gives you the ability, if you understand the theory of music, just to be a composer, all within that one piece of instrument.
And while we talk about it, let me see if I could take a screenshot of it just so you guys can see it. Oh, there's my computer yelling at me. I'm like, I don't know about that, Chief. You're doing too much.
Right. You're trying to record a podcast and take a snapshot? Nope, don't think so. Not today.
Not happening.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm scrolling through
they have
YouTube
a lot of
trying to
things
find you guys some since you like Jimmy Sax. I've been really into him, just kind of like instrumental. He plays the sax, like saxophone.
Right.
Dude, phenomenal.
You could relate this, the ability to create and compose music with, the one instrument, and I'm going to use a very generic term, the keyboard. Gabs, I'm sorry if it's not the right term to anybody in the music industry. If you understand the theory of what you do for work, construction, for me, I could take the theory of building walls from wood construction to metal construction to structural steel. It just translates. You just have to understand the basic theory of it and how to implement it in that moment. And that's how I deep down inside relate what you're trying to explain, Gabs. And I'm trying to put it together on how that works and how it functions in that ability to compose that music or even just mix the music.
It makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it probably can even go to, Brian or Flinty and what you guys do on your day-to-day. It becomes second nature. If you understand how that goes together, you can do it 10,000 different ways. If you understand that these notes can play together to make a certain sound, it doesn't matter what instrument you're playing, via this device where you don't have to have all of them in your arsenal, for lack of better terms.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it is like Brian though, like on the some of these gas systems that he designs. It's kind of weird to put it this way, but it's kind of like he's orchestrating like every piece, every bend, every elbow, every T into it, and it's actually pretty cool to fucking watch.
Oh, yeah, pipe is pipe.
and music's music, the Gabs, right? And construction's construction to me. I will say fire's probably not fire. And everywhere you go, Flinty, because I know we've took some deep dives into some of the things that can change that. But
yeah, there's a lot of different things in that. But what we could compare it to pumping a fire truck.
There you go. Yeah.
All right.
You got to know all your
electric cars.
I finally took a snapshot of this, and truth be told, I don't know if you guys noticed, but my audio did cut out while I was trying to take the snapshot.
I did notice, and
I
we
did
kept
notice
the
that, yeah.
podcast going. Yes, we did.
I figured you were busy.
Oh shit! I pooped the bed. Sorry.
I figured you were sneezing or your dog was going ham. We would have rolled with it.
There you go. That's what a meaty track looks like.
Interesting. Well, we've learned a lot about Gabs, and we're going to continue to learn about Gabs. I think we've made it through one or two things. We learned that, Gabs has grown up in South Arizona. He's been a musician for 20 years. He plays a handful of different instruments. One of his hobbies is to go off-roading and enjoy what the great state of Arizona has to offer him. I'm excited to find out more about Gabs as we continue to grow and take this podcast even farther. And it's all because of you listeners, and we love you for it. All the love and support that we have gotten so far is amazing. All the guests that have stepped forward and wanted to become a part of this podcast, we thank them. And we thank all the guests that are looking to come to us. I know there's a whole list that we've shared with the boys here as we come into ending episode number 6 and what we call a family episode. Gabs, thank you for being so open with us and teaching us about music. Flinty, it's always a pleasure. And Brian, thank you for taking the time to sit in with us tonight.
Yes, sir. Pleasure to be here.
Before we'll get you more.
I was gonna say before we end, is there anything else you guys would like to know? I know we didn't dabble into the whole audio engineering portion of Gabs, but
honestly, I think we need a lot more time allotted for that, because I already know between me and Mikey and possibly Brian, there's going to be a lot of questions.
There's more grilling to be had, apparently.
Yes, stay tuned for more grilling of Gabs as we dive deeper into the audio engineering, and maybe we'll learn a little bit more about Gabs. I know that he gave us a glimpse into his siblings in a couple episodes ago. So if you enjoyed it, please stay tuned. Check us out on your favorite podcast player and the YouTubes. Again, we appreciate you guys. We love you. See ya.
See ya.
Later.